There's been a bit of a lack of invention within horror titles recently, and it's about time we had one that did something different within the genre. And look, I'm not saying the medium is perfect, but Bloober Team has gone to great lengths to make a psychological horror game that pulls you in and keeps you guessing, with the occasional squeaky bum moment thrown in for good measure. It has a superb balance in every facet of its design. The atmosphere is consistently eerie and unsettling, but never terrifying. It's cerebral in its narrative, but it doesn't become contrived or confusing. The pacing is good enough that you're never bored, and puzzles don't take ages to solve, and while you do bump into haunting characters and weird creatures, you actually always feel alone. Throughout the duration of the medium, I was engrossed in its story. Marianne is a medium who gets a mysterious phone call while saying her final goodbyes to her dead father. As her, you head to the Neva Hotel, and upon arrival you see that things aren't what they seem. It's hard to go into the finer details because of the various twists and reveals, but what I will say is that there's some fantastic writing, both in the plot itself and with the characters. Marianne's state of mind gradually unravels as she works out why she has been called to the hotel, and the few characters she does encounter are given significant backstories by the time you eventually meet them. The young girl who exists in the spirit world is innocent yet broken, offering a tragedy for you to uncover, while the arrival of the enigmatic man Thomas flips the whole game on its head. Many of the locations in the medium are littered with notes that provide plenty of exposition to the main narrative, as well as the residents who lived within the hotel and surrounding areas. You can also find objects such as teddy bears, dolls, old shoes and screwdrivers that can be investigated using insight to hear short conversations of the people they belong to. The dual realities work incredibly well. By switching between them, you can find hidden areas or objects not located in the adjacent worlds. In the spirit world, you can separate from Marianne's body in the real world to explore these areas or objects, as well as split walls of skin to allow you both to pass through to other areas. There are certain puzzles that will require you to do this as well, such as turning back time in the real world to see the spirit world's form change, opening opportunities that weren't there before. There are also watchable memories akin to Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and Tacoma that reveal important story beats, and by turning the left stick, these clouds of butterflies form the shapes of bodies within them. Mirrors can also be passed through from one reality to the next, and when you see both the spirit world and material world existing on screen at the same time, it's hugely impressive how Bloober Team has made this work so well. If that wasn't enough, you're gifted with certain powers as Marianne in the spirit world. You can form a spirit shield to protect you from moths, use shield blast to restore power to generators and power supplies, and shield force for, well, something later in the game. Throughout the medium, you're presented with multiple puzzles that require you to think outside the box, much like Silent Hill and Resident Evil series. You might have to place dead butterflies onto a locked box to open it, remember a numbered sequence to get into a locked room, or find shards of glass to fix a mirror. Whatever the challenge, they're different and compelling, drip-feeding you with nuggets of information along the way. When that information starts to materialise into the overall arc, it opens up significantly and starts to mess with your head. There are some dark themes in the medium, but they're never graphic, kept as tasteful as they can be without venturing into the obscenities. The influence of Polish surrealist painter Zdzisław Beksinski can be seen in the graphic detail within the spirit world. Tendrils of flesh, blankets of skin, and creatures that twitch and convulse as they move highlight the macabre and gothic style he was known for. Both realities have some fantastic detail, although the lighting is sometimes poor. Even though you've located the flashlight, it can be difficult to see anything. Running down poorly lit hallways and across busy rooms often leads to bumping into walls, and when you encounter the Maw, the medium's big bad, it can be frustrating to say the least. And while we're on the subject of the Maw, Troy Baker does a great job of highlighting its tormented soul, but when you're trying to evade it, it's not clear how you're supposed to do so at first. I found myself dying 5 times in a row before I realised you could just use your insight to show its location in the material real world. The score is excellent. Arkadiusz Rejkowski has consistently put out great music for many of Bloober Team's previous titles, but the inclusion of Silent Hill legend Akira Yamaoka is the icing on the fly-infested cake. It instills a sense of dread as you walk around the hotel, regardless of which reality you're in, but it also welcomes some of the softer moments of the story with a warm melody or two. When you're exploring the various locations of the medium, be it inside or outside, the music accompanies Marianne's journey with heart and with fear. It's a shame that the movement is often just too slow. You can run, but it's not really much of a run and more of a very, very slow jog. Later in the game you can move much faster, but for most of the hotel section you will plod along as opposed to swiftly skipping from room to room. The Medium is without doubt Bloober Team's biggest game to date, and it's easily one of their best too. The story is captivating, as are its characters, and the uneasy journey you take through it feels much like if Stranger Things was set in the Alan Wake universe. It's a gorgeous game complemented by a vivid soundtrack, and the gameplay only stumbles on a few occasions. The puzzles are inventive, harking back to a time when the only horrors you could play were ones involving zombies and foggy towns. The Medium is a great reason to jump in via Xbox Game Pass, and it's a very strong start to a new year of gaming, which is why we're giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching Chris White's review of The Medium via Xbox Series S. Adam here from God is a Geek. I've played it on Xbox Series X2. Pretty much echo what he says. It's really surprising, actually. I wasn't expecting the world, but yeah, good fun game and some good stuff in there. Some dark themes, as Chris said. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be really important to us that maybe you hit the subscribe button, but then the bell button, which helps us and you because you're notified of every time a new video goes live, whether it's a preview, a podcast, a guide, or some tips, anything we do. Also worth mentioning to you, I think, that we do a Patreon, which is where you can directly support people like myself, the person who wrote this review, Chris White, and the rest of the team by supporting us. For $1 a month, you get an early podcast. We also do other tiers where you get exclusive podcasts. We do code drops. There's a lovely, positive Discord community that's grown around God is a Geek that we're particularly proud of. Of course, you can follow us on all social media platforms. As usual, just type God is a Geek into whichever one you like. Thank you so much for your time. Leave us a comment and tell us if you're going to be playing this. I mean, it's via Game Pass for PC and Xbox, so I get the feeling that a lot more people are going to play this than perhaps would have. So let us know what you think of it, if you're coming back in 6 months' time, or if you're there when the embargo breaks, just before it comes out. Are you hyped by this review? What you've seen in the footage? It's a difficult one to show because it's quite a slow-moving game, but we've done our very, very best. Once again, thank you so much for your time, and we will catch you in the next video, if we don't catch you before. Bye-bye for now.